This is the meeting of the Raleigh Board of Selectmen for July 30th, 2018. This meeting is being audio and video recorded. I'll now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, our first order of business is a 6:30 p.m. public hearing on a shellfish aquaculture license renewal and reissuance public hearing. I'll first read the public hearing notice into the record.
So, Mr. Chairman, it's a couple pages into that top section.
Yeah, right. Okay. The Raleigh Board of Selectmen shall hold a hearing Monday, July 30th, 2018 at 6:30 p.m. at the Raleigh Town Hall, 139 Main Street, Raleigh, Mass. 01969, on applications for the reissuance and renewal of shellfish aquaculture licenses as prescribed by Chapter 130, Sections 57 and 58 of the Massachusetts General Laws. The following applicants are requesting renewals or the reissuance of aquaculture licenses at the following locations for a term of 5 years. Club Head Sands, licensee John Grunstom of 60 Railroad Ave, which is for a renewal. Kelsey Grunstom, 60 Railroad Ave, 2 sites for a renewal. Stuart Dalzell, 47 Warehouse Lane, 3 sites renewal. John E. Grunstom, 58 Railroad Ave, 4 sites reissuance. Kelsey Grunstrom, 60 Railroad Ave, 6 sites renewal. David Kent, 462 Main Street, 8 sites reissuance. David Kent, 462 Main Street, 11 sites.
That's the number of the site.
There's a number of the sites? Okay, those are the numbers of sites. Reissuance. Hog Island Point. Michael Lord, 50 Independent Street, Site 112, renewal. Peter Freiberg, 74 Main Street, Site 113, renewal. Patrick Saunders, 8 Long Meadow, Site 115, renewal. Cal Nealand, 61 Weathersfield Street, Site 116, renewal. Ronald Nealand, 61 Weathersfield Street, Site 117, renewal. John Nealand, 61 Hammond Street, Site 118, renewal. It is understood that this license is subject to all pertinent sections of Chapter 130 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Division of Marine Fisheries regulations and license conditions, as well as all fees, rules, and regulations. License terms and covenants existing or adopted by the Raleigh Board of Selectmen. Additional information and exact latitude and longitude of sites can be obtained from the Raleigh Board of Selectmen's office. The Board of Selectmen will accept written comments. So that was the notice of public hearing. Posted at the Town Hall on July 18, 2018, and published in the July 19, 2018 edition of the Newburyport Daily News. I'll now call for a motion to vote to open the public hearing.
I'll give you that motion.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, I will call for the applicants listed on the public hearing notice. Each one must have the following: a completed and signed aquaculture license application, completed and signed annual report, and town clerk receipt for the aquaculture license fee, $25. Okay, John H. Grunstom,
Yep,
do you have those 3 things?
I don't believe I do. I didn't know that we were supposed to have it tonight.
Okay. Well, should I go on to the next one?
Nope.
So,
Mr. Chair, I believe the applications were submitted. I'm sorry.
Could you identify yourself?
My name is Chris Scalacci. I work for the Division of Marine Fisheries as the aquaculture specialist. Before we filled out the hearing notice, Mr. Nealon did collect applications from each individuals, and only the individuals who who signed those applications were submitted for the hearing. As far as the other documents, I can't speak, but the applications were submitted.
Okay, so there's an application for each of the people identified in the notice?
Yes, and then if any of the members haven't paid yet, we just need to make sure they pay their $25 fee and file their annual report. Some have, Mr. Nealon is aware of that, some haven't.
We could approve their request
Conditioned
contingent
upon
on.
the submittal of those 2 items.
Okay. Okay, Kelsey Grunstrom? Not
I'm not
present.
here.
Stuart Dalzell? Not present. John E. Grunstrom?
Present.
Anything you want to say, John?
I have said it right along, and I will say again, I'm not going to pay $25 or sign any kind of a renewal unless I have the assurance from Division of Marine Fisheries that they will somehow help us in the policing of this area. My son's life was threatened twice. All of our nets were cut up. The Kid Smiths had dug out every one of our clams, and I just can't put that effort through again and have that happen. Now, we've been telling Division of Marine Fisheries for years, the only way they can help us is to have a system where they pull the people's card, what do you call it?
Transaction card.
Transaction card after 1 or 2 fines by the town, because fining by the town, they couldn't care less. They go right back the next day, and they're in the fine in the first half hour. But until the Division of Marine Fisheries says, yes, we will pull the transaction card after a certain number of offenses or something of that sort, I have no intention of going back through all that effort and have somebody come in and rob my clams.
Okay. Is that something you want to address, Chris, or don't want to
I
address?
can say that statute brings up, there are statutes that protect license holders from individuals defacing their gear, removing shellfish or any gear on the site associated with the aquaculture license. But those are civil. That's a civil recourse. It allows individuals to seek treble damages in court civilly. There are statutes that do say that individuals removing shellfish without the consent of the license holder, there are state violations there. But, you know, again, this is something that there needs to be documented enforcement. And that's pretty much where we are. So unless there is documentation proof, you know, then we're specifically talking about a violation of a section of statute where someone's removing something without the consent of the license holder. But the primary mechanism here for recourse is a civil action. So I think the legislature felt like it was pretty difficult to enforce these rules from a criminal standpoint when you're talking about a mudflat that isn't easily you know, observable. So there is action that can be taken from the environmental police perspective, but you know, it is something that we need to do enforcement, we need to document, we need to understand how it's happening, if it's happening.
So who would be doing the enforcement for the state? Would be the environmental
Both the
police?
local constable has the authority to enforce those statutes under
Right.
Section 98, and the environmental police have the ability to enforce those statutes.
Yes.
John H. Grunstrom. I had a lease, kicked the gentleman off, a few people off, 8, 9, 10, 12 times, photographed him, had my life threatened. He was arrested, put in jail for 6 months, got out, has already been digging in Raleigh and ticketed twice since. If that isn't documented proof, I don't know. And if we do that, and they can still go on and pay a $100 fine of $300 and dig $1,000 worth of raises in a matter of 2 or 3 hours in the winter, I have no interest either. If that isn't documented proof where someone ends up 6 months in jail, told he can never come near me and can never dig on Raleigh again, and has already been served 2 tickets since, I don't see any type of positivity or any reason to even do it. If I'm gonna go down and spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and time and energy and go down and have somebody either cut the nets off and dig all the clams and pay $100 or $200 fine, I have no interest. If the state doesn't want to step in and take transaction cards, I don't know what to say.
Chris?
Mr. Chair, so we are talking about 2 different things, which I think is important. One is individuals who are not permitted to dig in Rowley coming into Rowley and harvesting shellfish. That's a town issue. That has to be dealt with under the town's law enforcement capacity. Someone taking from a shellfish aquaculture license site, there is a state violation there. And
That's
there
the
is
second
recourse.
issue? So
The second issue is there's a difference between someone coming into Rowley and harvesting shellfish from public beds
Oh, okay.
without a permit in Rowley than someone going to a licensed aquaculture site and
Right.
harvesting shellfish. The former, that isn't a state violation. The taking from a licensed aquaculture site is a state violation, and there is recourse. The other aspect of this is if there is local enforcement that's occurring and there is a state violation, we need to make sure that the environmental police are called, because that's what we're looking for as far as a history of noncompliance. And so, again, if it's a town violation, we wouldn't get involved and start taking transaction cards or permit suspensions. If it's a state violation, we would look at that. There's a permit suspension request, so the local constable or environmental police can petition the director to do what they're discussing. But we need a state violation.
Which is what?
Which is to suspend or revoke a permit. The state transaction card that Mr. Grunstrom brought up that allows an individual to sell their shellfish.
Oh, okay. I see.
Has this ever been done on shellfish areas?
Absolutely. When we have violations of our public health requirements, continued violations of other sections, pertinent sections of our regulations, we do permit suspensions and permit revocations.
What about for poaching? Has it ever been done for poaching?
I don't know off the top of my head. I believe we have seen that. I don't know off the top of my head.
I don't know if you understand this or not, but each shellfish harvester has to have a transaction card. He cannot sell his clams
I don't know.
to a dealer unless he has a transaction card. And the only thing these guys are gonna understand is taking away
Okay.
their living. Judge,
But that's
paying
done
a fine
by,
is
that's done by the state, not by the town then, right?
all up to the state. And I know that you are, recently, I saw in this recent newsletter, that you were taking permits from some of the fishermen for fines. I don't see why they couldn't be more active on shellfish, especially from leases and whatnot. But
From leases, there is recourse at the state level. The other issue, as far as unpermitted individuals digging in Rowley, that there is no recourse at the state
Right.
level
oh,
for that.
that's
I
not,
know, yeah.
I've had
That's a problem.
several
Public flats,
discussions.
that's a problem.
I'm sorry?
From public flats.
Yes, sir,
right?
Yeah.
yes. We
It's
don't
just
have
a
a
town.
particular statute.
Okay.
It's under town management.
Had several discussions with Chairman Nealon, and about having deputy shellfish constable or the constable go down to the flats just at low tide, maybe an hour before, an hour at that time, and observe the flats at that time. I think that would be a good idea if we did that. How would the budget be to do that?
Well, the budget's only so large, and
Yep.
Travis is able to cover it afternoons and weekends, but it's the morning tide that is the problem, because they know he's working, and they just, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I know that the guy that John is talking about, he has been ticketed in Rowley, but he has not been ticketed digging aquaculture sites. It's been the open flat. And we have talked to environmental police, and they do say that is a civil matter that Chris is talking about. So we are seeking a stiffer penalty, trying to talk with state or the town of Ipswich if they will go along with helping us suspend their license or not. Haven't gotten that quite that far yet.
A couple of years ago, Jack, we talked about the delineation between Ipswich and Rowley, that line.
Yep.
Now, there's a concrete marker, I understand, that was down there, was standing
Granite
up.
marker.
Granite
years
marker.
ago.
And is that fallen over?
That has fallen over, but the state, the warden, refuge warden has worked with Travis and the Ipswich Town Warden, putting up signs that are on the marsh that you can see while you're in the boat, and they line up where that line is. It's a visual site, but
So there would be
He said
no
what it was
question
before.
that you're in Rowley or you're in Ipswich?
right.
Oh, this is
There should
going
be
so
no
far past this, there's no comparison. I mean, they're half a mile up into Raleigh now. When razors were $5
Uh-huh.
a pound, and they could go and dig 200 pounds at the time, that was $1,000 in 4 hours. They would go any place that would take them to get them, and the only way you could stop them, take the transaction card so they can't do it. As far as the fine goes, they couldn't care less.
John?
It has been documented. When my life was threatened, it was on Plum Island Point, which is one lease from one end all the way the other. Was it mine? No. But it was, when he threatened my life, he was in the middle of Hog Island Point, which there are at least, I think Ronnie's, John Nealon's,
There is
my
seven,
nephews.
there's 7 lease sites on
They were
that.
digging in there constantly. They're all leases. The Ipswich constable, I called him from there, I called the Raleigh police, I called the Ipswich police, told them exactly where it was. And that's when he was arrested. He was on a lease. And I called Division of Marine Fisheries, I don't know how many times, and asked for their help. Saw him at the landing and stuff. And they basically told me that they did not want to get involved. Now I'm just telling you what happened 2 years ago. Now if it's changed, that's great. And if something can be done, if it's on a lease, I mean, I almost feel like a guy walking up to someone's farm and opening the gate and then going up and taking 3 or 4 cattle out. It's the same, it's an agriculture. Agriculture, I believe, is the same thing. Someone's gotta do something, otherwise it's a waste of time. They cut
Right
all the
here,
nets off.
Mr. Belding, who is the grandfather of all clams and leasing and whatnot, at least 10 times in this book, he said, a man must be secured protection before he can put the labor and money into doing a lease. And the only way the clam flats are ever gonna come back is by doing that and properly protect them. As far as I'm concerned, the only way you can properly protect them is to pull the transaction card. I can't do it.
Chris?
So this is not a conversation unique to Raleigh, and we've seen these issues in other municipalities. And there's a couple conversations going on throughout the Commonwealth that deal with this. One is most municipalities choose to have aquaculture, and so there is an expectation that the oversight and management responsibilities associated with aquaculture are there, and that's why the town's going to move forward to vote to accept it. Having said that, there's been a conversation, a number of towns have petitioned to increase that $25 an acre license fee because it's not sufficient to cover the costs associated with enforcement for those aquaculture sites.
No.
So, you know,
Doesn't seem
that's a
like it would
major
be.
challenge here is we're talking about a fee for a service that costs far more than what that fee is. That's been a discussion, and there has been a discussion about legislation that would increase that fee to something higher. I know that's not music to the ears of the license holders, but you know, when the theft outweighs that cost, it's gonna make sense. It is challenging. I think Jeff Kennedy, the North Shore Shellfish leader, has offered to have meetings with the surrounding community constables and include environmental law enforcement, and specifically seek guidance from the Director of Marine Fisheries on, you know, how marine fisheries can help with this. But, you know, often we get approached, individual employees of the Division of Marine Fisheries get approached by individuals with specific questions, and it's not necessarily our area of purview, and those don't go anywhere because it's not a formal way to engage with the Division of Marine Fisheries. So I would say, you know, I would highly recommend you pursue opportunities to talk to the other communities, as well as start a formal conversation with the Division of Marine Fisheries as far as what is the enforcement capacity of the environmental law enforcement, marine fisheries. How do we develop a program that helps these people feel comfortable with their investment?
Well, who would do that? Not you as a...
If this board would be happy to just write a letter to Dr. David Pierce, just requesting that you know, we engage in this conversation, that's certainly going to help move that conversation forward. Might be something that comes up with our law enforcement subcommittee.
Is he the head of the division?
He is. He's the director. I can provide that information
That would be
to the
great.
board after this.
I'll make a motion that we send a letter.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You guys have it. Great. Okay, that's great. I mean, that's helpful, very helpful suggestion. I appreciate all the information you provided, and this is something I'm not familiar with personally, but on the other hand, it seems to me this public hearing is not, the purpose of it is not to deal with enforcement issues, it's to deal with the reissuance of these permits. So That's really what our focus should be tonight, and we should, by all means, let's ask Dr. Pierce to come in and speak with us. But that's going to happen not in another meeting, not tonight. Right?
Yeah, I think he can certainly. That starts the formal process. He may, we may have a discussion, and he
Oh,
may
sure.
bring us back.
Sure, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Well, let me just keep going through this list as to who's here or who's not here. David Kent?
Present. I think when we get into the discussion, wouldn't Chapter 130, Section 2 cover some of the laws, marine laws, as far as fishing, surrendering fishing gear, as well as boats,
So
for people violating those fishing laws?
again, that would be violations of the Commonwealth, the Division of Marine Fisheries regulations.
Correct, but that holds a stiffer bite than a $200 fine that somebody just keeps going and getting paying. If they're going out there and fishing and breaking the law, their boat gets seized, their forks and buckets get seized, and it goes away until it gets, and their permit gets surrendered. So it goes into the discussion. There's probably a lot more that can be done, and I think the next discussion with somebody higher out is probably the way to go.
Okay, yeah, good, thanks.
Speaking on my part, I have applied for my permits as of the end of March every year for my leases and my aquaculture license, as well as my shellfish permits. And I make the payment, and I leave it there,
She is the town clerk?
the town clerk,
Right.
so that's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Michael Lord?
Not present.
Peter Freiberg?
No.
Patrick Saunders?
No.
Cal Nealon?
No.
Ronald Nealon?
Yes.
Anything you'd like to say?
Just
up to you.
My fees are paid, and my catch report was submitted. And my cousin John is not here, but his fees have been paid, and his catch report is submitted for up to date.
Okay. Okay, John's not here either. Okay, okay, so,
Mr. Chairman, we just got one letter in on this
Yes.
hearing from the Conservation
right, I was
Agent.
gonna read that.
There were no other submittals.
Right, thank you. Okay, we did get a memo from Brent Baselak, the conservation agent, in which he states the commission has become aware of a request on the agenda for tonight's meeting for approval to continue the existing aquaculture sites, Clubhead Sands and Hog Island Point, and for renewal of aquacultural licenses. At this time, the commission has no current valid permits for aquacultural activities at either of the locations referenced. Following is a listing of the determination of applicability permits previously issued under the Wetlands Protection Act and Wetlands Protection Bylaw. Please note that the commission's files do not contain a record that an application was ever filed for Plot 18. I'm not gonna read this list. I don't know if it's really necessary. Is the commission's understanding that new applications should be filed with the Conservation Commission for continued agricultural activities on these plots. If Plot 18 is not in use, please advise the Commission office. The Commission wishes to bring this information to the attention of the Board of Selectmen and Shellfish Commissioners.
So all these are existing licenses.
That's all you're talking about
We're
right now?
talking about
Is
existing.
renewing existing, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, point of clarification, that a number of these licenses have expired quite a while ago,
Yeah.
in which case we're not treating those as existing renewals. Those are for reissuance
Okay.
of licenses. Additionally,
So that means they have to be filed with the Conservation Commission?
and so if I may, at some point, I kind of want to go through the different steps here in the terminology, because I think it's going to help the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all means.
What we're here to discuss is a municipally issued license, the Shellfish Aquaculture License. This is the license that provides exclusive use. I believe you also have a town permit for aquaculture, which is within your purview. And I believe some of the confusion here is individuals were renewing their town permit, which is subject to your bylaws and your rules, and we weren't moving the paperwork forward to renew the town license. which is what the issue is here. Additionally, once they have their town license, they seek permits from the Conservation Commission, the Army Corps of Engineers, for the gear on the site, and the Division of Marine Fisheries to possess and plant shellfish. And so the license for a number of these sites has expired quite a while ago. Those are reissuance. And when they were originally licensed, the individuals sought an RDA, request for determination of applicability, from the Conservation Commission. I believe those have a 5-year timeline, not a shorter timeline. So they'll have to check. I can speak with the conservation agent, but there are exemptions for maintenance of existing agricultural activities. They may just simply need to file the RDA again and request to find out if this activity is covered under that exemption. But it seems like the Conservation Commission, even if they don't find that they're eligible for that exemption, has a history of issuing orders of conditions to allow the aquaculture activities. So once we have the licenses for these, the town itself or the individuals can seek the RDAs from the Conservation Commission. It could be done under one big RDA, or it could be done individually. But if that has expired, then they would, just like they need to renew their license, would need to renew that order of conditions from the Conservation Commission. The Army Corps permits tend not to expire as long as nothing's changed on the site, so those should be sufficient. So right now, I think what's outstanding is the renewal or reissuance of the town licenses, and then a reapplication for an RDA to the Conservation Commission. Once you agree on the licenses, it would then be appropriate for them to seek that conservation.
Okay, thank you, that's very helpful. Okay, anything further anyone has to say, or questions, or anything at all? The Board of Shellfish Commissioners have any comments, or? Okay. All right.
I'd just like to say thank Mr. Shalaki for coming
Oh,
up
yeah,
tonight.
definitely, yeah.
He made a trip from New Bedford, so
Oh, wow.
thank you.
I appreciate that. May I make one additional comment that would be, as the board thinks about the terms for these licenses, there are a number of them that have recently expired, which you can renew them, some that will expire in the near future. I recommend that you renew all of them with the same renewal date and the same expiration date, so that as we move forward, the board only needs to see these every 5 years as they're renewed. So
That's a good
that's a
suggestion.
good idea with your licenses.
Well, it seems to me that we can approve these requests on a conditional basis, that each applicant submits the required documentation, and also that they obtain whatever approval is necessary for the Conservation Commission. Does that sound like something that's sensible
and
to
with the
you?
last is that the reissuance, the board needs to seek our certification. So the renewals can be done, can be renewed, move forward. For the 3 licenses that must be reissued, 3 or 4, those, essentially, you're gonna seek our concurrence on that. And so,
For the
just
reissuance?
for the reissuance. So just the language, pending any approvals from the Conservation Commission and Division of Marine Fisheries.
Okay, that would be fine.
Would be sufficient.
But, and the other condition would be that they all have the same renewal date? That's something you would do?
So you would vote to approve a license for the term of July 30th, 2018 through July 30th, 2023, if you're
Okay.
doing 5 years.
Right.
Yeah, they were 5 years.
Okay. Okay, well, I think unless there's any more questions, I will ask for a motion and vote to close the public hearing. I don't think we need to continue it.
I give it that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. So I think we've been pointed a way forward on this. That we need a motion to approve the requests on a conditional basis. And the conditions being that each applicant provide the selectmen with the 3 pieces of documentation that we went over. And most important, I guess, is the $25 filing fee. And the other condition is they obtain whatever approval is called for by the Conservation Commission and the Division of Marine Fisheries, and that the vote be to renew the request or the permits for a 5-year period beginning today.
I will give you that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it. In the meantime, we'll try to address the issue that, you've been raising. It's a serious one, there's no doubt about it.
Very, very, very serious.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I don't know how you expect to have an agriculture
millions of dollars
program
worth of
if
clams
people are
down
stealing
there,
your
and
clams.
they're
Yeah.
gonna go after them.
Can certainly assure you that if the board requests clarification from the director, you'll be provided with clarification on what we can do or
Oh,
help
great.
you to move forward.
Great.
Excellent.
Okay, thanks for coming
Thank
in
you.
here.
Thank you,
Thanks
gentlemen.
everyone for coming
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna make my way south.
Chris, good seeing you.
Thank you.
Jack,
Thanks,
sure.
Jack.
John,
Just trying to get out of here soon.
I know, it's on your back home.
Boy, young man. He's driving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at 6:45, we had an appointment with Christopher Salacci of the Massachusetts Division of Marine Fisheries and Shellfish Commissioner Ron Nealon to discuss clamming issues, and both of those individuals have just left the room. That's because they were planning on talking about the green crab problem facing the clamming industry. However, Chris Salacci does not manage or administer the green crab program. Green crabs are managed by the Invertebrate Fisheries Research and Monitoring Project. So we can schedule a new agenda item for a future meeting with a representative from the Invertebrate Fisheries Research and Monitoring Project. So we'll just put this appointment aside. Okay, we had a 6:50 appointment with Ed Mirando. We're a little behind to discuss a letter of support and host agreement for Mirando Brands LLC at 319 Newburyport Turnpike. Mr. Mirando, you're present. Thank you for coming. The board previously voted during our July 2 meeting to issue a letter of support to Mirando Brands LLC. The letter of support is attached. The board can vote to authorize the chairman to sign the letter tonight. Town Council Tom Mullen has completed his work on the host agreement. It is ready to be signed by the chairman and Mr. Mirando. There are 2 originals that need to be signed. You're talking about the letter of support, right, Debbie?
Yes.
We're not, are we ready to sign the host agreement yet?
Yeah.
or- Oh, we are?
Both.
Okay. And we previously discussed that at a prior meeting, I think, so. I don't
July 2nd, and we did need some time to have the host agreement reviewed by town council, and Mr. Mirando had to meet with Kirk Baker to go over zoning
Right.
and the police chief for the security plan.
Yeah, Police Chief Scott Dumas has met with Mr. Mirando on a security plan. Additionally, Mr. Mirando is currently meeting with the planning board on the special permit application, site plan application. Anything you care to say, Mr. Mirando, before we go ahead and?
No, everything's going.
Okay, so we need thank you, we need a motion to, for me to sign the letter of support for Mirando Brands LLC.
I'll give you that motion.
Oh, I'll second.
Joe was first.
Okay.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. And we need another motion.
For the host agreement.
Right. Just looking for it. And that's to be signed by the chairman, right? Just for me to sign the host agreement for Mirando Brands LLC.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Mirando will be signing that as well this evening.
Oh, okay, right.
2 originals.
think I signed it. I signed a copy. Okay. Start over. A letter of support, so care to sign two post agreements with that? Yeah. It's now public comment period for another 5 minutes, ending at 7:12. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you. Good luck. Good luck. Thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have a 7 o'clock appointment with Jeff Dion to discuss filming of a movie scene at 166 Newburyport Turnpike. Jeff has requested to meet with the board to discuss his company's plan to film a scene for a movie at the Agawam Diner during our first weekend in August. The movie titled The Sound of Metal is about a heavy metal drummer who becomes deaf and has to cope with living in a world of silence. That's an interesting idea. Debbie advised Mr. Dion to reach out to both the police chief and fire chief about his plans. Mr. Dion?
Yes. Hello, Mr. Chairman. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me.
You want to add to that, or?
No, it's a passion project for the director. He's been working on it for about 9 years, and he just loved the Agawam Diner, the look of it, and so now we're filming there this coming weekend. And I'll talk with Captain Sedgwick and also the fire chief Broderick about us filming there. They didn't have any issues with us being there.
Oh, you have talked to him?
Yes, I have.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
Yeah. And they didn't have any issues with us being there. We also, because we have a generator, it's a very quiet generator, but we have state laws. We have to go and talk with the electrical inspector. We hire a licensed electrician, and he talks with the electrical inspector, and they inspect it. So, but it'd be very quiet. There's not a lot going on. It's a lot of times I say it's like watching paint dry when we're actually filming, and there's nothing crazy going on. No violence or anything. And it's basically this part of the movie, he's on a road trip coming up to the North Shore. We're filming mostly on the North Shore, and so we're filming the North Shore as the North Shore. So, I'm not sure if you guys have any questions or.
Well, we went through this last summer because Chappaquiddick was filming.
They were here. Yeah.
Right here.
Oh, yeah, that's what Debbie was saying.
So you're right. It's like watching paint dry. Yeah. It is very interesting.
Yeah. It is. It is fun, and the fun part is when you actually see it on the big screen, and that's when it's pretty neat. So, but.
And the diner is a very unique, interesting site too by
Yeah.
itself. That
I'm from North Andover, so I used to go there all the time. So I'm very familiar with in Raleigh also, very familiar with the area. So.
Most people come for the pie.
And the antique shopping.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So we'd be filming both inside and outside, or?
We have a very quick scene outside. There's sort of we have a camper, so he has this a camper from 1980s that he's driving up in, and so there's a quick scene outside. You know, him just getting out, quick scene in the parking lot, and then most of it is inside.
Who's he?
Riz Ahmed. He was in The Night Of. It was a HBO show.
Oh, yeah, right.
With
Oh, that was, yeah, he's good.
Yeah, and then
I'm thinking of the right guy.
yeah, and then Olivia Cook, who was just in Ready Player One, and then she was in a movie that was filmed in Massachusetts called Thoroughbreds. So it was also a pretty good movie. So
Great. Do we need to approve this? I mean,
No, Mr. Dion wanted to come in and alert the board, and
Just-
especially because he was reaching out to
Yeah, no, I
some of our
appreciate it.
department heads.
yeah, we like to let the towns know what's
Sure.
going on, and
right, it's not town property, so I'm not sure,
Yep.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
see that we have to approve it, but, right.
But yeah, we just like to inform everyone and let everybody know, and so everybody's happy and we can all work together.
Yeah, right,
so.
that's great. So just for one day?
Yes,
Yeah.
just for one day. So.
Filming day or night?
It's a night. It's a night scene, so we'll be leaving early in the morning, so before they open, so everybody can get their Saturday morning breakfast. So.
The director were here, right where you're sitting,
Yeah,
and they were filming out in the corridor. And I always remember the director turned to the lighting director and just said to her, "It's too dark out there." So I figured they're going to put lights out there. She just went like that, and the whole place lit up out there. I went,
Yeah.
wow.
yeah, they can do some
Different business.
pretty amazing things sometimes. So
Is that what you're gonna have to do, or?
there will be some lights
Yeah.
there, but they're actually shooting on film, so they're trying to sort of keep the natural light there. So we don't have big. Not as big as Chappaquiddick was, the lights that they had, so we have a smaller lighting package. But
Well, okay, anything else? Yeah, thanks for coming in and
thank you
giving
very
us.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, good luck.
And look for it on the big screen.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Deputy.
Yeah, public comment is over. Okay, next meeting is an appointment with Larry Berger. Larry, you wanna come sit up here? Larry Berger of Pink and Company is here to discuss Pine Grove School technology purchase and project update. Larry is requesting approval of additional Pine Grove School technology equipment related to the phone system. He has submitted a proposal from Integrated IT in the amount of $8,764.56 with a $4,382.28 deposit. Please note the proposal is showing sales tax in the amount of $250.86. When we issue the purchase order, we include the town's tax exempt number and reduce the total by that amount, the amount of the sales tax. If the board is in agreement to approve this purchase, the board will need to vote to authorize the purchase and to issue a purchase order and to include the sales tax. So Larry, what is the equipment? Can you describe the equipment that's at issue here?
Integrated IT is going to provide additional handsets for telephone in the reconfiguration of some of the spaces. The reuse system, which is 90%, there's still a couple of rooms that need new handsets. So included in the proposal is 10 additional telephone handsets. They are also going to be responsible for energizing the phone system, and the last service that they are providing is the district is changing the platform for which their voice over IP operates, and that's also included in this proposal.
Okay, and that's all for $8,700.
8,000, and this is part of the technology line item that is in the budget.
Okay. And this was approved by the building committee a couple of nights ago?
You know, we didn't
We
talk
didn't do
about-
this,
I don't
okay.
think we talked about it at the building.
Okay, all right, all right.
It's related to the phones.
Yep.
No,
Okay, yeah, you're right.
no
Okay, we
expand this one.
Right. Okay, so I guess we'll deal with this proposal separately from the other stuff? I mean,
Yeah,
you
then.
just need a vote to approve.
Correct, and then the second part of this is for equipment in phase 1 and 2.
Right, okay, all right.
I'll give you
Motion?
that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay. So you've also provided a technology equipment budget itemizing all the technology purchases made thus far. Is that the first sheet of our packet?
That's, that's part of the phones. This just shows how it fits within the budget.
Oh, okay.
For the phone system. The second piece that you have is a cost summary for the equipment that will be provided to in phase 1 and 2 for the areas noted. It's for some custodial equipment, administration suite equipment, the general offices, the music department, the kitchen, and the art room. And attached to the summary sheet is a list with graphics showing what all those purchases are amounting to.
Does that add up to
Well,
79,000 and 38,000?
what I sent on Friday has been updated today, and that update removed the OT/PT portion of the expenditure in this phase 1 and 2, and there is
Which is the bottom line of the sheet?
correct, and that reduces the request to $42,905.83. I have updated spreadsheets
Oh, okay.
for everyone.
Okay.
The equipment that was attached with that is still germane, except for the portion that is related to
PT?
PT and OT.
Can I see?
And if I could, that the OTPT is just, it's a bogus line that it will not cost that much at the end of the day. It was just a bad sell in the Excel spreadsheet. We didn't catch it, so don't let that $38,000 scare you.
All right, so all the specific types of equipment for which you're seeking approval
Correct.
for the town to purchase
Yep.
is listed on these following sheets?
Correct.
So, I mean, I just have to raise a question.
Yes.
I'm looking at this, there are things like staplers,
Mm-hmm.
pencil sharpeners,
Yep.
baskets, more pencil sharpeners, staplers, ice cream scoops?
For the yes, for the cafeteria.
Okay.
This include it include. This is like a small what would typically be referred to as a small waste package, especially as it relates to the kitchen. There are things that didn't carry over. Either they didn't have them or they were broken. This is to infill, what the kitchen had to operate with in previous. We have in storage on site, the bulk of the kitchen smallwares, things like trays and pans. But there is the need this time around for additional equipment to supplement what they had with the new equipment. Additional, some of the equipment is completely different, so they have different pan size necessities as well as racks and things like that.
But I just have to ask, is this type of stuff covered by this project, or?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
this is material typically covered in a project like this.
Yeah.
In terms of the budget, we did not create a budget line item, for these items. The two items that we've been talking about most recently, that $1,200 per student was allocated. We've been talking about technology, and then the furnishings for all the new classrooms. and support
Right.
and support spaces. But really,
We keep talking about FFE, so that's
We didn't really-
fixtures, furniture, and technology equipment, right? I mean,
correct. The equipment part of it. This is the equipment part of it that we really did not allocate dollars to up front. When we started looking at everything, the furnishings budget the furnishings needs took the furnishings budget. So these will be outside of that budget. And we've attempted through working with the teachers. Dawn Whittier has worked extensively with administration, and they have pared down the requirements to really basics. And I don't think anything in here is extravagant or padding something that they might already have in stock, and this allows them to.
No, it's not extravagant.
Allows them to get rid of anything.
I'm just wondering if this is something that we ought to pay for. I mean, that as part of the renovation of the Pine Grove School. I mean, it's not extravagant at all.
No, in the case of like the kitchen, it helps run the kitchen, get the meals
Baking
on,
sheets, yeah.
the meals on the trays, the custodial equipment. It's to maintain the new finishes.
And some of the things are more substantial, like bookcases and things like that. So I don't want to give the wrong impression
Sure.
here. But
Yeah.
any comments from anyone? Larry.
Yes, I was kind of briefed on some of that, and I agree with you that some of the stuff is very small. But I just wonder about, we'll say there's, one stapler being bought in this phase, and then next phase another stapler, one pencil sharpener or so. It's not a bulk pencil sharpeners type of a thing, and I just wonder where the line is drawn as far as what the renovation pays for versus Triton.
Yeah, right.
And if we're paying for a pencil sharpener and a stapler, are we going to be buying the staples as well and the pencils as well? And do the pencils have erasers on them? Are we gonna, I'm trying to understand where the dividing line is. And again, it's small.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we ought not to be paying for supplies, right?
I believe the
And
way
you're
it's
not-
set
and
up,
you're not.
each
And you're not.
and each.
What's that? I'm sorry?
So Chip Highcamp with Door and
Yeah,
Window
right.
Architects. So basically anything that's consumable, like the staples for the stapler,
Yeah.
wouldn't
So
be
we're not going
charged.
to pay for those.
You're not paying for supplies. And to your other question about are we ordering in bulk, we're not. So the list is divided up by phase and by room, so that when the supplies arrive, they go right into use. So we're not going to be able to have to store staplers and
Right, but I'm just wondering,
And these-
which classroom is short one stapler?
No
type of a thing?
no classrooms will
Or-
be short staplers. So if the classroom's being open, there'll be that equipment will be provided at the end of for this phase. So it's divided by, and these are off the shelf items. So there's
Yes, I know
it's not-
that, but
so-
it's just, it seems odd to buy one stapler.
The other thing is we're just addressing what's happening in phase 1 and 2,
Right.
which turns over.
Right. So this
Immediately, and then there'll be a second package that reflects 3 through 5.
right.
We're talking about the office for the kitchen,
In phase 1 and 2, it's the office suite, the nurses
where the
suite,
chef is.
and then and then the kitchen AP room.
So you're looking tonight for just phase 1 to 2, which is four,
Exactly.
but
Yes.
not the other, not
Yep.
3 to 5.
Correct.
Okay.
Just phase 1, phase 2.
Mr. Chairman, maybe we wanted some clarification that this is going to be reimbursed by the Mass School Building Authority?
Well, it's not, is it?
Well, it'll go under the contingency, and the contingency budget. A portion is reimbursed. They'll do up to 1% of.
So I think that the board needs to be aware of that.
Right.
Because that's a substantial cost, and
But it will fall within the total budget for the project.
Right.
This won't increase the guaranteed maximum price, which carries all the way to the 38,992. This will come out of the contingency that's already built into the project.
Okay.
And I believe that Principal Nealon has reviewed the list and is going through that with the teachers so that they know.
Yeah, they've helped us create the list. Yes. This is.
Larry, anything further? Oh, okay, I thought you had
No.
something else to say. Bernie?
Yeah, I mean, this seems extremely odd from my perspective. This seems like it's budget items that should be in the Triton budget, should be onto the Pine Grove School budget. This seems like it's, given the fight that we've had with Triton over their budget, this seems like this is kind of like an end run. I mean, I don't know what the total dollars are. It doesn't sound like it's significant.
Well, total is
material.
$40,000, so it's not insubstantial. But a lot, well,
Yeah, that's a.
I don't mean to mischaracterize it as all being for pencil sharpeners, you know, because
No.
there's other things in there too.
Right, but that's an instructional aid. I mean, there is other equipment in the existing building. I mean, if they were short staplers before, I mean, what? I mean, it just seems bizarre.
It does, it seems odd to me.
It's kind of like, it's really weird, essentially. And again, I haven't seen the whole list. And clearly, if there are new space, you may need new bookcases, but
In a parallel,
Could you identify
Time.
yourself, Mike?
Mike 17 in Raleigh. In a parallel time, I was on the Triton Building Committee, and I ran the change order committee. And because we renovated the school and we added an extra music room, the music department came at us for $55,000 and said we owed them new instruments. It was overwhelmingly denied because it was stated that we were bricks and mortar when we renovated the Triton Building Committee at the Triton High School 27 years ago. So at that time, they said no.
Yeah, well, we're more than bricks and mortar for this project because of the understanding, as I said, FF&E, fixtures, furniture, and technology. But this seems to be outside of that acronym. Well, what does the board want to do with this?
It does indicate, staplers and pencil sharpeners and hole punches and.
Can you pare down your list to get some of the things that are giving us heartburn here? I think you know what they are.
I mean, yes, we can always, we just need to, find another source to provide them.
Debbie, you have something to say?
I don't understand what department is currently missing staplers and pencil sharpeners. Because I would think that would be part of the school operation.
Yeah, well, that's what I think.
I mean, we were thinking equipment, bookcases, certainly outfit the kitchen. I would consider that to be an office supply.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking, there's a 3-step signature riser, 3-step.
I think that's for might be for the music room, but that would
For the
be
music
what we
room.
would anticipate to outfit.
I didn't anticipate stuff like this.
But I think the staplers and the pencil sharpeners.
And, baskets and, trash baskets.
Larry, do they
Yeah.
still have all the old stuff? As
Yeah.
far as waste baskets?
Yeah, I think I think.
I mean, I think part of the intent is
part
that-
was what it was to replace that which was
Right.
was not viable.
Right. Yeah, so these guys have been working to, we have conversations with them, what can you keep, salvage lists and all that. And I don't know that they were dealing with, mismatched stuff before, but, if you have an all-new school and now you're putting, one trash can in one room and a different recycle can in the other, does it start to look not the nice finished product that everyone's looking for? I think that could be some of it. Obviously, if there's staples and pencil sharpeners that we want to revisit, that's fine. What I would ask, if possible, would be so this isn't a vote to issue a PO because these are just estimates. So, but we don't have, certain things like the first one is the machine to clean the floor, which is for the new, all the new floors that we're putting in, so it's the floor scrubber. So that
Okay.
could take a couple weeks to actually order and get
Okay,
here.
well, that
so.
sounds more appropriate.
So that's, and some of the other stuff that we don't have a question about, bookcases. So I don't have any problem if we want to talk about, go through the list after tonight and say like things like pencil sharpeners, staplers, that's fine. We can pair that off the list. But if we could get, because we're going to put these out and we can still, so we still have time to adjust these, but some of the stuff is a little time sensitive, being them opening in 4 weeks. So.
Well, what's time sensitive?
The most time sensitive would probably be that floor scrubber.
Oh, okay. Can we vote to approve that tonight?
Yes, you can.
How much is the floor scrubber?
$2,345.10.
I mean, that's equipment, so I don't feel uncomfortable with that.
No, not at all.
With a lot of this other stuff, it's hard, you'd be hard pressed to call a stapler equipment. I think it's more like a supply.
We could.
I mean, I guess you could make an argument it's equipment, but, I mean,
I think a lot of the kitchenwares would be tough too, and I don't know, but
Yeah, there's a meat cutter here, and that's
yep.
for the
Okay.
kitchen.
I mean, there's trays, pans, those are gonna be essentials for the kitchen. We have included what we could in the GC portion, but things like this, it does not make economic sense to have them bought at the general contracting level.
sure.
Just because everybody puts their markup to them.
Well, I mean, how the board members want to proceed on this?
I think at this point, we should review the list and go through it. And I would like to, where it is a long lead item, to do that base machine. But to go through the list and identify the items that we deem are more necessary, if you will.
So in other words, for them to submit, if I hear what you're saying, we could authorize the approval of this floor machine tonight.
Okay.
But then ask you to pare down the list to eliminate some of the stuff.
We
that's
can
given
utilize
us.
our meeting on Friday, our construction meeting. We've also,
But we're not meeting for another 2 weeks, so.
No, but internally, we, as part of our construction meeting, we also have the ability, because of the members that sit in on those meetings, to, we have that subset, the working group.
Right.
That has, in the past, looked at things like that, and indeed has in this case, but we can, revisit everything and look to see what we can move out.
Right.
And quantify, quantify that dollar value.
Okay. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Chairman,
Yes.
Does this piece of equipment remain with the school for like the maintenance man to use?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's all
it's
all Pine Grove specific. It's nothing that travels within the
Correct.
district.
Heavy-duty bags.
I'll make that motion on the base machine.
For what dollar amount? Just,
8,000.
Larry, before we do that, we all can agree that there's going to be some things on this list that we take issue with. We've talked about them. There's going to be other things on this list that we agree will be okay.
Right.
Is there a dollar value? Because I think all we were looking to get at today was basically when we get the quotes back, which is the real number that we'll need to pay for these, so that they're here when the school opens, so that the school can operate. That those things, that we can get that PO issued, because you are meeting every 2 weeks. I think your next meeting would be the 13th. And if we don't get if we have to still be chasing approvals on the 13th, I'm nervous stuff won't be there for the school, and some of the stuff they do need to operate a school. So is there a number that we can approve that obviously would be a not to exceed number? And we can revisit those lists? We can do it before Friday.
I think we need to know what we're paying for, but,
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Okay, you've made a motion to authorize the purchase of the floor machine.
I'll second that.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it.
There are things in there like the risers and the, that could be of some concern too.
Yes.
If we didn't question these things, we wouldn't be doing due diligence.
Yeah, and I know it can be viewed as nitpicking, but, you know, that's kind of our job is to nitpick, you know?
I have no problem standing,
Yeah, no, I
standing
appreciate
the
that.
inquiry.
I appreciate that. Mary?
Yeah, I think it's even more important to get the principle down.
Yeah, right.
Because there are subsequent steps here, and this is kind of like, this seems like it was a bad idea to come forward with this particular list. If there are things with some long lead times, are absolutely essential, then that's what the list should be.
Well, I think
Everything
the principle is that we're not authorized to pay for ongoing operations, supplies and things of that nature, or small stuff like staplers. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Oh, you're welcome, thank you.
Is there an update on the termite issue and all that kind of good stuff?
Before you leave?
This, the termites, you know, have done their damage. We have exposed 10 of the 12 locations to the foundation to which the columns sit. They all show damage in varying degrees, except for I think number 10. 10 seems pretty much intact, but we're not sure what damage has been done interior, which was what our second round of investigations looked at, was the density of the materials. The Board of Selectmen authorized a purchase order to be issued for the work to complete the repair, and that has that has started. The first step was exposing the base of the columns. The architect has issued the details for repairing the columns. The shoring contractor has started to build the infrastructure that will hold everything in place while they start cutting these members, and then begin putting back the removed portion with a combination of steel and concrete. It's a very elaborate detail, but it puts back the structural integrity that people are afraid is gone at the current time. The kitchen, you know, the walls are all boarded. They're polishing them. The flooring contractor started on the kitchen floor. The cooler boxes are installed in that area. The kitchen work will only go so far because there is a shared wall with the AP room that is impacted by the correction to the glue lamps. The stage has been poured and is ready for its new surface, which is a wood decking. The entryway they are working on the new steel that supports various openings as you come in the school and go to the various wings. That's been installed. Steel frames for new HVAC units sitting on the roof. The underside supports are in, and they're working on the roof in the north wing. North wing has been petitioned out. In-wall inspections happen this afternoon, and that will be boarded, and they'll start the process of polishing those out, getting them ready for paint. They're hoping to have drywall complete and ready for paint by Monday of next week. Yes, I think I believe it is Monday of next week, through the rest of this week. And site is ongoing. They've started to bring the site back up and put in the sub base ready for pavement. Pavement will be, the binder will go down probably 10 to 12 days. Currently, ongoing as we're sitting here is the replacement of the water line from the street into the building. It was discovered that the line that runs through the site is transite material that has been patched in several locations in varying degrees of success. And there's a fear that with everything that's happening, that some of those old repairs will let loose, and we don't want to lose the value that we've put back into the site. So there was a decision made to completely change the water line from the
How
street.
many inch line was it going in?
It's an 8-inch line.
8-inch.
One of the things that we're also doing is we're putting in a valve setup, which will allow the town in the future to isolate areas better than what is currently available. I forget where the closest valve is. I think it's actually just down the street here where they're also working tonight, and having the valve further along, they can do work on the other side of town without impacting this side of town. So there's a little value added on the back of the project.
And the termite problem will delay the functioning of the kitchen for a month, right? Is that
Correct.
right?
The turnover is being looked at in the first week of October. One of the issues, the kitchen could be completed, but because of the geography and how you get from the kitchen elsewhere, you have to pass through an area that will still be in construction, and so that won't provide for a safe food handling situation. So it's better to not have the kitchen operational, but we do expect to have the whole cook line ready. We'll probably hold off on getting the equipment in and hooked up, just because it's one less thing to have to worry about while there's dust and debris going on. But the flooring is happening this week, and then we'll follow with partial ceilings, in the back area. That's storage and office.
Great. Oh, good from the horse's mouth. Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a...
These are color, more updated versions.
Oh, okay.
I think we need to look.
Thank you. We have a 7:20 appointment with Spencer Cocker, a Volt Planter of Cape Ann, to discuss a request for a letter of non-opposition and host agreement for a registered marijuana dispensary at 300 Newburyport Turnpike, Unit 1. You are Mr. Cocker, correct? Mr. Cocker met with, am I pronouncing it right?
Yes.
Yes. Met with the board on June 4th to discuss its plans to open a registered marijuana dispensary at 300 Newburyport Turnpike, Unit 1. At the June 4 meeting, the board told him to meet with the police chief to discuss his security plan. He's done that, and Chief Dumas has conveyed to Debbie that he's satisfied with their security plan. He also met with Town Planner Kirk Baker. Town Planner Kirk Baker informed Debbie that he explained the planning board permitting process, which includes a special permit and site plan review, to Mr. Cocker. Kirk says that the old planter of Cape Ann is ready to make a formal request for a letter of non-opposition to the Board of Selectmen. He submitted a draft host agreement, which Debbie has sent to Town Council Tom Mullen to review in anticipation of the August 13 Selectmen's meeting. So, is there a letter of non-opposition here, Debbie?
No, I didn't prepare one, and
Okay.
I needed to make sure the board authorized that
Oh,
first, and
okay.
I'd be happy to if that's,
And,
I figured the board would like an update on his plans,
okay.
and if there's a community meeting scheduled at some point.
Yeah, the community meeting is one of the things we have to schedule.
And-
Right, so that hasn't been scheduled yet, but everything else, we've met with the fire department and, what's his name?
Fire, police.
And, yeah, and went with all that. And I've been working on drawings for that, for the plan, and, I mean, everything is moving forward on our side.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And just checking your host agreement, and it does provide for a 3% of your gross sales revenue to be remitted to the town every year, right?
Yep.
Which is what the other marijuana applicants have all agreed to.
Which is
So.
absolutely
Right.
okay with us.
Yeah, it's okay with us, too. All right, so...
Glad to help the town.
So we're just looking for a vote on the letter of support.
Letter of support or non-opposition,
Or
whichever one the board would like to issue.
Give me that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Which are you
You
going
want to choose, or you could say support or
Support.
non-opposition? Support, okay.
Support.
I'll second that.
Okay.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All
Thank you
opposed?
very
The
much.
ayes have it. Thank you.
And then,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if you'd like Mr. Cocker to return on August 13th, we did receive a confirmation today from the town's attorney. He will be able to work on the agreement and get it ready
Okay,
for
great.
the
Why not?
13th, and he
That'd be
can
great.
come back at that time and get the letter signed and the host
Okay,
agreement.
great.
Great, thank you
Okay,
very much,
thank
gentlemen.
you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
That's two.
Just no termites.
No termites.
Okay, we're running 15 minutes behind. We have an appointment with Edward Dello Icano, Senior of Atlantic Auto Solutions, 185 Newport Turnpike, to discuss a Class 2 dealer's license. On June 2018, we revoked this dealer's license for 30 days until the state police confirmed that the violations that we previously talked about had been rectified. On June 19th, the investigator on this case, Charles A. Louise of the Vehicle Services Section of the Massachusetts State Police, spoke with Dave Peterson, Bob Snow, and Amy Leiden about the case. He confirmed that Mr. Dello Icano, right, had paid the fine and has gotten the workers' compensation insurance policy, but he had not yet applied for the Massachusetts dealer plates. He said once that application for dealer's plates is complete, he will reinspect the business. On June 21, the board reinstated the Class 2 dealer's license for 30 days and asked him to come back at that time and to review where things stand. On July 12, Trooper Louise sent an email that Atlantic Auto Solutions is now in compliance and will be issued dealer plates. Does the board wish to reinstate this Class 2 dealer's license until its expiration date of January 1, 2019? I think we want to, right?
Yep, you're in complete compliance now.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Someone make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Reinstate the
I'll second.
license. All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it. Great, thanks for coming in.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, well, those were our appointments, they're all done, unfortunately. Take up general business, number 1, discuss the September 11, 2001 memorial. Bob Snow wants to alert the board that the Ipswich Rowley Rotary Club spruced up the September 11, 2001 memorial last week. Bill Freitag of Country Gardens donated the plants. Pictures of the memorial are attached.
And the reason I received as I was in the office.
It looks quite nice.
I was in the office, and Amy Boyd, who lives on Pleasant Street, told me that the Trentini, the oldest daughter, I believe her name is Pat, she was coming for a 30th anniversary reunion at Triton, and Amy was part of it. So she said that she was coming into town and thought it would be nice to spruce it up a little bit. And Rotary has been in charge of. I'm a member of Rotary, and Rotary put me in charge of a memorial in town. So I went over to see Bill Freitag, and Bill had all the plants there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and all he did was just dug holes, put them in there, and Bill was back at. He was there about 20 after 8, and then he came back and he watered the plants, and he's been doing that. And 2 of the flags looked like they needed to be replaced, and I went over to see Chief Broderick. Chief Broderick gave me 2 of the flags so that I could put around the memorial, and I will replace those flags with the chief. He has some that they put out as grave markers for the firefighters.
Mhm.
So, anyways, that's I can't say enough about Bill. Bill is just a tremendous
that's
guy
good,
from
yeah.
Country Gardens.
Very nice. Shall we vote to send Bill a letter of appreciation, and also the Rotary Club too, or and also Bob Snow?
Well,
while we're at it?
I'll be,
I'll make that motion.
Okay, second.
I don't know if I really should, but
No, well, you can leave yourself out. That was a
I'll
joke.
leave myself out of it, okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
I would like to comment that the Rotary has always been very generous to the town. They were during our 375th celebration with the gazebo. They refurbished that, did a good job for us, so they've always been a good contributor to the town.
Well, the Rotary's motto is service above self, and, you know, not me, it's the other members of the club. That's,
Yeah, right. Okay, general business number 2 is a letter of resignation from Heather Torres. Dear Sue, please accept this letter as a notice of my resignation from my position as Assistant Town Accountant. My last day of employment will be Wednesday, August 1, 2018. I have received an offer to serve as full-time accountant of a former employer, and after careful consideration, I realize that this opportunity is too exciting for me to decline. It has been a pleasure working with you and everyone else. I'd like to help with the transition of my accounting duties so the department can continue to function smoothly after my departure. I am available to help train my replacement, and I will make certain that all reporting and records are updated before my last day of work. Sue, thank you again for the opportunity to work for the town of Rowland.
make a motion, Mr. Chairman,
For letter of appreciation?
for letter of appreciation. And
Second.
accept the resignation.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. General business number 3 is related. It's a request to lift the hiring freeze for her position. The Board of Selectmen needs a vote to lift the hiring freeze for the position of Assistant Town Accountant.
Give you that motion.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. General business number 4 is assigned primary election warrants. The town clerk needs the Board of Selectmen to sign the state primary election warrants. Please vote to sign the warrants and sign 8 originals.
Make that motion.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it. Here you go. Okay, if you don't mind, Joe, I'll go ahead with new business number 1 while you're signing. New business number 1 is to discuss electricity issues at the town common gazebo. We had a problem with electricity during the Independence Day celebration on the town common, and we were unable to get the hot dog steamers to work. Amy has asked the light department to look at the electrical system to see if there was a grounding issue. The light department reported back that the receptacles all show 120 volts. Does the board wish to have an electrician look at this? 3 Blocks East is scheduled to give a free concert for the town common on August 25. We will need to make sure the electricity is working. If so, Debbie will need to reach out to the highway department to cover the costs for an electrician, because the town common budget was consolidated into the town land maintenance line several years ago, which is under the highway department.
Mr. Chairman, this has happened several times over the years. We've had Independence Day on the Common, and this time it was probably the worst because we couldn't get the hot dogs ready for everybody. It was a hot day anyways, but still, you know, you say you're gonna give a hot dog. you
Nothing
better have
worse than a
hot
cold
dog.
hot dog.
That-
in my
Yes,
opinion.
yes. So, the electric department went over there, they looked at the, they looked at the gazebo. So the power was coming in, was fine. I think there's some sort of a bonding or grounding issue, and it needs an electrician to look at it. And I'm talking about the receptacles.
Mhm.
And of course, those are GFIs, not faulty.
Okay, so you want to
So,
make a
yeah.
motion to authorize an
I'll make a
electrician?
motion.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, the ayes have it. Okay, new business number 2 is we have to review a request for a hearing by the Zoning Board of Appeals. The applicant is seeking a special permit from the ZBA for the requirements of, for the installation of an in-law apartment and garage on, the location is 137 Hillside Street in the outlying district. I've looked at it, and I have no comments. I think that's something within the ZBA's purview. I don't see that we need to comment unless you...
Right, I don't see any need to comment.
Nope.
Similarly, there's another application to the ZBA, this is new business number 3, which the applicant, located on, I believe this is the Todd Farm, 275 Main Street in the outlying district, is seeking a special permit from the ZBA to construct a second interior floor in an existing hay barn for events appertinent to applicant's restaurant use, which the applicant claims is a prior non-conforming use, which I don't know if that's true or not, but I think it seems to me that's up to the ZBA to determine. So unless someone feels we need to make comments, I would say no comments are necessary.
I have no comment.
No comment.
Okay, thanks.
Can I address that? Can I say a comment on that?
Well, I
As
mean...
an abutter?
Huh?
As an abutter?
Well, there'll be a public hearing. If you want to make it, you have an opportunity to say whatever you want at a public hearing, but...
At the ZBA component?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
We're not the decision maker in the case, so. Okay, that's new business. Old business. Updates on fire station and police station addition project. The project is moving along at a good pace. The contractor will be working on the septic system this week, and next week the trim and siding work continues. It should run through the end of next week. The drywall work is expected to start the week of August 6th. The foundation for the antenna should be done during the second week in August.
Looking really good.
Yeah, that's good. Old business number 2. Debbie has been speaking with JRM Hauling and Recycling President Jimmy Motzkin. He is planning to attend the August 13 meeting to discuss the recycling options. So has he given us a specific proposal, Debbie, or we should just wait until August 13th?
Yes, he had a couple of different scenarios that I really said, that he should bring up with the board.
Okay.
So he really wanted, he had a death in his family, that's why he wasn't here when Mr. Floramo
Sure.
attended in his place. But he does want to speak with the board and look at some options.
Okay.
And, said August 13th.
Okay, so we'll
We
just-
do definitely have issues, because I drive by frequently, and I was looking in Sunday morning, and there were people there
Yeah.
dumping.
Right, there are security issues and maintenance issues and cost issues.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's very
I know.
concerning, so
I know.
escalating costs.
So
In
he's
all the
on for
towns
the
around
13th.
are going through this.
Yeah, right.
It was mentioned on the news the other day about other towns going through this.
Yeah, so we'll hear what he has to say, but the future doesn't look that promising at this
No.
point. Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay. So that's old business, I believe.
Minutes.
Minutes. We have minutes from May 21, 2018. I think we were both present. Yes,
Need a
we were.
motion, Mr. Chairman?
I'll second.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it. Minutes from May 31, 2018.
me a-
Both all present.
Give me a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye. Aye. All's opposed?
Aye. I'm sorry.
Aye.
Aye.
Minutes from June 4th, 2018. We were all present.
A motion?
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it. June 18, we were all present.
Give me a motion.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
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 All's opposed? The ayes have it.
And Mr. Chairman, not in your packet are the two sets of executive session meeting minutes that you previously would have received. They're not in your meeting
Okay.
packet
All right.
for approval for this evening.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you a motion to accept both executive session for April 23rd and May 14th.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Okay, and last but not least, announcements. The band 3 Blocks East will be giving a free concert on the Town Common on Saturday, August 25th, 2018 at 6 p.m. Information on the Pine Grove School project is available on the town's website. The town has the following vacancies: Agricultural Commission Associate, Cultural Council, Council on Aging, Fence Viewer, 3 positions, Wood Lumber and Bark Inspector, Zoning Board of Appeals Associate, 3 seats, Parks and Recreation Committee, 1 seat, and Deputy Shellfish Constable, 2 positions. For more information on these positions, please contact the Selectmen's office at 948-2372. The Raleigh Food Pantry is in need of donations. Donations can be left at the Raleigh Public Library. The food pantry is open on Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and on Thursdays from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Motion to adjourn?
Give me that motion.
Second?
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? The ayes have it.